Hello, my friends. Grim here. I hope you're doing very well today. You better be, because we are playing the coolest deck in Premodern yet again. We are playing Wurmrock, aka Green-Black Tempting Rack. We've already done it a handful of times, running out the exact same 75 each time, but now it's time for some tweaks. That's right, we're going to be tweaking the Wurm today, so thank you for joining me. As we tweak the Wurm, it's going to be a great time. And if you don't know what we're doing as a baseline, of course, you can check out the deck tech and the previous videos as well to give you an idea from the very strong and coherent seeming platform from which we will be making a few changes. If you want to get really into this archetype like I am, make sure you follow my Patreon, where I'm writing articles going really in depth on card choice and tactics. Gonna kind of try to put together a primer out of those articles over time. All the articles are and will remain free, so please do check it out. But if you'd like to support the content, that's a great place to do so as well. Having said all that, let's make a few changes to our wonderful 75 before we get into some games. We're actually going to begin with a sideboard and work our way leftwards from there, because that is where the most changes are happening. We're going to begin by cutting my pet card Blackmail. It's actually been quite good. It's actually been quite reasonable, and I think having the amount of discard spells in general that we have in the main deck, plus one extra to reach for on the side, is where I want to be. So I'm not changing the formula, but I am going to swap out Blackmail and try actually a third copy of Funeral Charm. I think this is going to be an interesting experiment. I've wrote extensively on Patreon, again, about Cabal Therapy, and now about Funeral Charm, and I've laid out my reasons as to why I'm only on 2 Therapy. I think playing a third in the side would actually be fine. I don't begrudge the third copy at all, main deck or side, but I'm going to try the third copy of Funeral Charm. It's going to be almost as good as Blackmail in a lot of situations, just as a critical mass of virtually guaranteed 1-for-1 discard. Obviously, it has the upside in that role of being able to hit them on the draw step, and of course it has mad flexibility aside from that. It's more, perhaps importantly than anything, going to give us extra outs to those turn 1 mana dorks and goblin lackeys. So yeah, I'm going to see how the third charm does today in that sideboard. And next up, my friends, we're going to add an Infest to the sideboard at the expense of an Engineered Plague, going down to 3 copies of that Haymaker, and just diversifying our X-for-1 creature removal potential. Infest, of course, is kind of similar to some of our other effects that we have access to, insofar as it does not kill anything besides the relatively expendable Ravenous Rat. So Infest, a very, very good fit in our strategy. We'll see how one plays here. And finally, in the sideboard, we'll be cutting both copies of Wasteland. I remain convinced that playing Wasteland in the side rather than the main deck makes more sense here than it does in any other mid-range shell I have tried yet. That said, it doesn't mean it's mandatory, and I found myself quite reluctant to bring it in, so we're just kind of like gonna do our best to play without that effect whatsoever and see how that treats us. We're getting into some other effects in the stead of those 2 Wastelands. It's going to be additional Graveyard Hate in the form of Gaia's Blessing, which is also a nice cantripping card. It's a little bit more of a middle ground between a Tormod's Crypt and a Phyrexian Furnace in terms of the immediate amount of graveyard hate it brings to bear. We still, of course, have access to that Crypt and the 2 in the side and the 2 Furnaces main, so this gives us that little bit more graveyard hate. It helps us put cards back into our own deck, actually, in some certain very long mid-range or control slugfests where we don't care about OP's graveyard, and it gives us, of course, a massive I win button against mill win conditions, so I'm quite intrigued to try a Gaia's Blessing. I think it's kind of an interesting effect here. And Tranquil Domain, we are just respecting Enchantress and Replenish and all manner of other enchantment-based decks with this massive X-for-1 blowout potential, having removed one of our own Engineered Plagues. Not that they might be in all that often together, but we are that little bit less symmetrical with Tranquil Domain now that we have 1 fewer Plague. And in the main deck, the only enchantment is a Singleton Sylvan Library, so it is relatively asymmetrical and an extremely powerful card in Premodern. Main deck changes, guys, are going to be pretty much just a few like-for-like swaps trying out new technology. We're going to bring in a Bane of the Living at the expense of Plague Spitter. Spitter performed really well, actually, overall in those matches that we featured previously, but Bane of the Living is that little bit more flexible. It's a little bit more of a haymaker, and I think both cards in different ways are definitely right along the Wurmrock plan. Worth noting also that I wanted to kind of try Nantuko Vigilante. I think Wurmrock is a kind of rare archetype in that you could accommodate a Vigilante and it could be good without having the ability to tutor for it. So if we do eventually end up with Bane and Vigilante in the mix, obviously you get a little bit of an edge case upside with, you know, the opponent not knowing which one you're morphing. But either way, I'm really excited to try a Bane of the Living. I think, just like Infest, it's going to be a nice effect that is mostly asymmetrical. Next like-for-like swap is going to be a single copy of Unburden, replacing a single copy of Stupor, which again, Stupor has performed really, really well for me, and Unburden, I don't know. It doesn't see very much play in Premodern, but I do think that a 1-1 split between Stupor and Unburden is at least testable, if not potentially optimal, because Stupor, of course, is a better card. It's got a slightly easier casting cost, with only one black pip required, and that random aspect of Stupor really, really strong, but Unburden being able to cycle away, and only for 2, I honestly think that a 1-1 split could be optimal, because we want the high ceiling of Stupor, but we also want the higher floor of Unburden, and, you know, drawing 2 Stupors in the same game might be kind of bad. Drawing 2 Unburdens might also be kind of bad, because they might not be as impactful, or it might be too clunky to cycle twice. One of each, I think, is at least testable, and more importantly, how about that art? Wayne England, ladies and gentlemen. Incredible, incredible looking card. And the final change, my friends, will be just simply adding 2 swamps and cutting 2 forests in order to get our mana base, you know, a little bit more in line with what it's stock. It's not really a solved mana base. You'll see people's mana bases kind of all over the place. And also, if you note, the cards that we've brought in, Unburden, Bane of the Living, Infest, these are all double black. But at the same time, we've also added Tranquil Domain and Gaia's Blessing, 2 green cards to the sideboard, at the expense of cards that were replaced that are easier to cast or just to deploy with no casting cost, of course, in the case of Wasteland. So it's worth noting that we are straining the mana a little bit more with all of these changes. I think they're kind of good in a vacuum, but that is a consideration. So we're kind of moving halfway in each direction to accommodate that. We don't want to go too light on green again with more green cards coming in, and with Hidden Gibbons remaining in the deck, which wants you to have a critical mass of green-producing lands in the first turn or 2, and Gibbons has been incredible for me. I think it might be kind of important for us in terms of beating Burn in Control and Combo and lots of other archetypes, but especially that Sligh or Burn matchup. So anyway, guys, the land base feels like it's a little bit of a compromise between all the different things we want to do. I'm not sure this will be my final iteration of the land base, but I think it is pretty good for testing all of these new effects and maintaining our main game plan, which has, again, served us really well. So having made those changes, let's get into it. Let's see how we do. All right, looks like a solid enough keep. Definitely could stand for one of these swamps to be a different land, but we shan't complain over much, my friends. We're against Sligh that kept a Gaslight hand. We'll just take the Lightning Bolts. Flame Rift is always something you should consider because it does 1 more point of damage, but on Wurmrock, we hope that we're big and strong enough to withstand such things. Now, this is an interesting spot, because if we play Treetop Village, we can just jam Tempting Worm next time, and that's gotta be correct, right? But it's not outrageous to smother a Mog Fanatic when there is a second smother in hand and no other creature in sight for OP. Plus, depending on our draws, it might allow us to kind of have our cake and eat it too. if we draw an untapped green land specifically, but that's kind of unlikely, so we just do the more obvious thing and plan to yellow out the Wurm. Alright, they found another Mog Fanatic. Somewhat unexpected. They don't use the Incinerate, so they're taking a draw step. They're going to see what they have here. And they got nothing, huh? Alright. Llanowar Waste does let Treetop Village go live here. So I'm going to begin with the Ravenous Rats. We'll force them to respond, and they're just going to incinerate upstairs. So they're not going to try to put together a kill on Tempting Wurm. Just a mountain. Got it. So let's serve. We're definitely supposed to just hold up a smother here in case of ball lightning off the top. Opponent will chump and ping the rat. Got it. Seems like a good play. So if they go straight to attacks, we will be smothering the Mog Fanatic, I believe. Then again, they're probably not attacking, are they? No. Alright. End step smother. It's not very exciting, but it does let us get through 5 damage next turn. If not more, with the Treetop Village getting fired up, which I guess it probably should. Because that forces them to point a burn spell at the board, or die in 2 hits. Either of which is a really nice outcome for us. Alrighty. Grim Lavamancer. And we had the smother rolled up, but they don't even make us use it. Nice one, okay. So, against Sligh. Traditional Sligh, indeed, as far as we can tell. Let's see what we can do. Alright, on the draw, I think Funeral Charm, Hidden Gibbons are our best cards. We're going to cut the slow stuff, the conditional or life-losing things, and we could play a wide variety of things. I think I might try Engineered Plague over Infest here. We could definitely play some number of both. We could play another Naturalize. Maybe that's better than anything else. Maybe that's better than Plague. It's very interesting. I almost wonder if we shave like a Curse Scroll here so we can not be too slow. I think that's actually kind of reasonable for the second Naturalize. And then, yeah, that one of Plague, kind of like... Curse Totem has text. Obviously, the scroll we sided out has text, so does Infest and Plague, as mentioned. We don't have all that many bad cards. I don't think we want to get too far away from our core game plan. But it is worth thinking about how best to side against this very common strategy. And I think we're supposed to keep this on the strength of Duress into Smother, even though we don't have a green source rolled up just yet. Mog Fanatic. You got it. Third land, all being swamps. A little less than ideal. Seal of Fire or Price of Progress. Well, I guess we're just taking Seal of Fire. That's one upside of us not having any other land besides Swamp, is that card doesn't really do anything now, does it? And they play the Lava Man. A must smother target, I'm sure you will agree. We've got the rack. That is a nice one. Okay, okay. So, alternative line here is rack into furnace, but then we're taking that 1 point of damage from the lava man attack unnecessarily. And either way, we're kind of shields down on the smother for the worst case scenario of them ripping a ball lightning. So we'll just go ahead and do the more obvious thing and smother main phase. Also, this way they don't know about the rack, so they're not going to play around it in any way, necessarily. Alright, we got another furnace, huh? So we're going to play it. We'll activate. We'll play the rack, and then we'll say go, planning to crack a furnace. On the end step, couple furnaces is definitely a little awkward here, especially because we already had the beating of their lava man by more natural causes, as it were. But thankfully there is no ball lightning. And they're just passing, hoarding cards in hand against the old rack. Alright. We did it. We hit the Greenland. It's a painful one. And now their price of progress is live, I suppose, just as a shock. But more importantly, we're starting to make 3/3s. And now we're starting to control the board in that way while also giving the opponent the incentive to do something besides hoarding cards in hand while chipping in. Alright, they put a mountain down, and they're just going to say go, huh? Cabal Therapy. Interesting. We know it'll hit price of progress at least. That's not too exciting. So I think I'd rather just flashback Call of the Herd here. Huh. So they just block the elephant. No ping. But we've still got to go with our obvious play. Let's see what they have rolled up. Lava Dart. Sure. You got it. So we get a nice little X for 1 there against the opponent. They're still not quite taking rack damage. They're still at 20, for that matter. Alright, Forest, huh? Well, let's attack. And it's definitely Cabal Therapy, naming price of progress. I guess they might respond with it. I don't know what we'll then name in the event that they do, because they could easily have another one in hand, so I still might actually just name it. It's one of the things that makes sense, right? Yeah, I'm gonna guess they have another one in hand. Could definitely be wrong. They have another Lava Dart in hand. Got it. Definitely not worth flashing back on that one. So let us clean up the graveyard a little more, dig for something proactive to do here. Worth considering which land to use there. There's a couple incentives in either direction. We got another rack, okay. I don't hate it, but I definitely don't love it. We're lacking a little bit of the obvious, straightforward core of our deck thus far in this game. Like, we're doing a lot of good stuff, but drawing, like, double rack, double furnace, double naturalize, without the latter lining up at all, is definitely a little bit rough. They rip Earthquake, okay. Yep. Stinks. But there we go. There's the aforementioned straightforward power we're looking for. Another Call of the Herd where that came from, just in time to not get board swept by the Earthquake. So now the rack will start pinging in. We've got that massive board advantage at this point between the racks. One elephant, another one where that came from, waiting in the wings. All right, and a duress? Sure, we can use that. It's going to make the rack better. They were F6, so we get the lava dart. We're flashing back. We're on our way to victory here. We've turned the corner. So I don't know what we're afraid of. I guess another earthquake could sweep up the elephants, and then who knows. But the racks are doing some good stuff now, my friends. Two mountains in hand, plus draw for turn, whatever that might be. And opponent says, GG, you win. Good games, well played. Nice little 2-0 against Sligh. Definitely saw the power of our deck, even while getting, as mentioned, a little bit of the fringe stuff showing up in multiples. We'll still take it. We still had more than enough card quality to get there. 2 lands, 5 spells, it's all fairly low curve. Call of the Herd, the main exception. OP keeping 7 on the play with Island and Deportant. We smell a shrimp here. I think we smell the old Dreadnought. So, yeah, I mean, just operating off Treetop Village alone could be a problem for us here. We have a pretty good anti-Dreadnought hand, but nothing is sure, is it, against that archetype. But they've got Gush, Portent, Foil, and it's not Dreadnought, it is Gro-A-Tog. I'll take the Gush, play for the long game, and see how far that gets us. OP's gonna go for the Dryad, it seems. Off a City of Brass, yes indeed, yes indeed. So they can protect her with the foil. We do have Cabal Therapy as our draw for turn, we'll take that. Think I might just take Portent here. They have Opt as well. Well, that's very good for them, but hey. Again, we like the draw of Cabal Therapy there just fine. So depending on what we draw next turn, it'll be interesting as to whether we want to kind of knock a card out of their hand with rats before we go for the Smother or not. They put another land out. Is the island we knew about. They've got 2 beautiful islands, but they are mismatched. Good to know about. And a couple Opts is definitely some tough stuff. Some good moves here from OP. We got Swamp, huh? Alright, well, there's a lot of different ways we can now sequence. I think we're supposed to play the attrition game and not be too scared of their life total, so let's begin with Ravenous Rats here. Island. Okay, so they had a relatively free pitch. I guess I'm going to get the foil now. Accumulated knowledge. Alright, well, here's a Phyrexian Furnace to compete over that next turn. Eat the Portent, pass to you, we'll be taking at least 4. But we've been doing a whole lot of really good disrupting here. And if I were the opponent, I might be starting to sweat it out a little bit. But they're ripping, like, just all the blue card selection spells off the top, so, I mean, this is really, really good for them as well. Both decks looking very, very strong in the opening stages here of Game 1. Love to see it. 2 super cool decks going at it. They do not. Oh, they do. They do shuffle. Okay. Aha, tempting worm, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. What do we do? So my plan was going to be to pass turn, respond to their AK with a smother. Still might want to do that, actually. Maybe we just wait a turn on the tempting worm. If they don't AK, we say go. Are we, Yeah. If they don't AK, we will just go for it on their upkeep. Alright, so the smother hits, beautiful. AK will resolve, and then before they untap, I'm just gonna snap that one up. We got double tempting worm lined up for next turn. Incredible. Okay, I feel pretty rewarded for the sequencing. Anything can happen, of course, but I feel relatively rewarded thus far. Now they're cantripping and Xeroxing, but without a Dryad on the field. Uh-oh, one of the kids is having a problem in the background. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Apologies if so. Okay, well, they have another Dryad, but we'll go for our tempting worm here and see what happens. They are F6'd, and nothing. Alright, here's another one. Oh man, I love tempting worm so much, dude. Sorry, Call of the Herd, you gotta wait your turn. Worms before elephants in this case, but not in all cases. Alright. I think we just send with both worms. We don't get too freaky with Treetop Village attack or anything like that. We get to then follow up, of course, with the Call the Herd, and then we've got at least Treetop Village available on blocks, along with the Elephant token. Or, instead of the Elephant token, should this spell be countered? Yeah, I think having Treetop available, I guess, is worth having 1 point of life, or of pain taken from our Lanny Wastes. I don't know that it really matters. But just on the off chance they're going, like, absolutely nuts next turn with Gush into whatever, I don't think they'd be threatening lethal either way, though. Okay, Dryad's a 3-3. And they'll scoop. Beautiful. Alright. Tempting Worm OP. Alright guys, well as we know, it's a little hard to know exactly what they might be on, but I think Hidden Gibbon's Funeral Charm and Vendetta are going to be very good. I think I'm going to try a Blessing, I guess. Probably. I think I'm supposed to play Soul Rend in the assumption that they're on Meddling Mage, but that might be something we're supposed to wait and see on. And I think our core cards are pretty darn good. So maybe we just, like, sideboard conservatively until we see more. And we plan on not missing with our discard, so we'll cut a couple Cabal Therapy, but we'll leave the Duresses in. We'll maybe cut one of our... Yeah, I don't know. Again, we don't really have bad cards per se. I think I'm going to trim a Rack, actually, in this matchup. I'm going to care more about answering the board than anything else. And I'm going to respect their ability to refuel in a major way. Maybe Graveborn Muse a little slow and clunky on the draw, then we just need to get rid of one more thing. I kind of want to leave my one of Naturalize in, even if we're not bringing other such effects in until we see more. You know what, maybe this is just not where we need a Rotting Giant so much. So we could have a second Naturalize, we could try a Plague. Lots of different things we could do. We could even bring back a Cabal Therapy, or play that one of Soul Rend. I think we might find a nice spot to stick Engineered Plague, so I'll try it here as a one of. But again, so many different ways you could configure. Again, are they playing Psychotog? In which case we would want the Tormod's Crypt. Who knows? Who knows? Opponent keeping 7. We'll keep it, even though we don't have a green source just yet. Turn 1 Funeral Charm can be really nice. We've got the rats rolled up, and now we've got green as well, and we've got Diabolic Edict. There's so much to like. Alright, OP went fetching for yet another different type of island, and now they've got Kyrian Dryad. Okay, so we're going to try to get this with a Funeral Charm. They do have a few things that could blow this out. But we're going to go for it. It'll be fantastic if it works, and if not, we get to untap an Edict. If it does work, we get to untap an Rats. Beautiful spot either way. Opponent tanking. Such a cool card, Kyrian Dryad, though. I'm glad it's a player in Premodern. Alright, after much consideration, the Funeral Charm does its job, and now it's time for the rats. We've got Unburden and Stupor rolled up. Maybe a little excessive, but I'm not really mad about it at the same time. Rats is going to knock just a Gemstone Mine out of hand. Let's see what OP's working with next. Nothing. Main phase. Okay, well, I like that. So I think we're just going to try out Stupor. I think it is fairly likely to trade with permission, which is fine. I would rather the Unburden trade with permission, but we might need to just hang on to that so it can be cycled down the road. It really depends on how the game plays out, of course, and you could make an argument in either direction. But regardless, I suppose we are pretty lucky having left these effects to see these in at such a time. Opponent's going to gush in response. Okay. Will they then find permission? Because they may not have gushed had they natural permission rolled up. Okay. No permission. Armageddon is the random discard, and then Island is the chosen discard. Fascinating. Good to know about Armageddon, but, I mean, I don't think we can play around that all that much anyway. Now will we get to 2 for 1 them yet again with Unburden? Let's find out. 2 for 1 with Rats into 2 for 1 with Stupor into potentially 2 for 1 with Unburden would be quite the progression after a turn 1 or end step Funeral Charm takes out a Dryad. Let's go for it. Alright, we hit. We hit a Treva's Ruins and a Fire and Ice. Cool stuff, cool stuff. All my pet cards, Funeral Charm, Stupor, Unburden. I mean, this is why I don't think it's mandatory to play 4 Cabal Therapy, right? There's just a lot of other effects of which we can avail ourselves. Not that Cabal Therapy is bad by any means, but other cards have good rolls too, and to keep the discard train rolling, we draw a Duress for turn, which is just awesome. So opponent's got double foil and a plow. Alright, well, let's go take the plow. And then it's not crazy to just play Tempting Wurm here and trade 3 for 1 to make them totally hellbent. Because then it's unlikely for us to lose because we get to follow up with Scroll and Edict whatever they draw, and they can't protect any of it. Or they just let the Tempting Wurm resolve, and they're in big trouble then too. But in addition to us answering everything else they do, if they do foil this, they're also operating off of 2 lands, one of which is painful. So opponent really in a no-win situation here, as far as I can see. And they do go Hellbent to deal with the Wurm. Good job, Tempting Wurm. 2 mana, 3 for 1. In addition to, again, all of our other 2 for 1s we've put together. Alright, there's a Ravenous Rat's attack, and I think I'm supposed to just hardcast Bane of the Living here as a 4-power beater. Between Scroll and Edict, with our hand getting emptier, we should be able to answer a lot of their threats. OP's draw for turn is Opt, which they'll fire off here on the end step. Into another Opt? Oh, into a Plow, okay. You don't love that one, but sure. Kyrian Dryad. Alright, so if we draw a land for a turn, we can just kill it with a Scroll, which we do. Incredible. Woo! And they just scoop to that, rightfully so. A very comprehensive victory, such a strong display from Tempting Rack. Definitely got lucky with all of our 2 for 1 discard, but again, that's kind of why the stuff is in the deck. Sometimes it is just going to crush the opponent. Alrighty. Opponent mulling on the play. We will keep on the draw for sure. And our hand kind of has a little bit of most bases covered. It's not perfect. We might not be able to curve out per se. We need a 3rd land in general. We're taking a little pain. We don't have removal. But beyond that, it really does have most bases covered. Now against basic Island Pass, who knows what it might be. We are probably obligated to Duress T1, though. In case of you-know-who, in case of the old Dreadnought, instead it is a counter-burn deck, perhaps, without access to red. Not exactly sure. It could be other things, too. But I'm going to play the longer game, take the Factor Fiction. We might be getting iced down here, which is... no? Okay. I was going to say, which is a pretty solid play regardless. Yeah, let's just try to stick a Sylvan Library in that case. I really expected them to ice us down. Now they may have found permission, but we've got to make them have it. Yeah, they did. Okay. Understood. Alright, let's try a Rats. Impulse and Response, yep. Okay, the Rats take care of that Fire Ice. Here's a Treetop Village, back to you, OP. They're going to go into their turn with 3 unknowns in hand. They've got red mana online. Okay, I was going to say it'll be interesting to decide what to do this turn, but now we just clearly duress. It's not that it couldn't whiff, but now's as good a time to use it as we're likely to get. And it will let us know exactly what to do. Okay, Fire Ice and Lightning Bolt, huh? Let's leave him with the bolt. And we'll attack with the rat here. Planning to naturalize or smother Mishra's Factory. Not really sure which one is better in a vacuum here. I think I'm probably supposed to use the naturalize, if anything. Just because they could have cards like Fairy Conclave, Gate to Encampment that we can beat with Smother, but that would not care about a naturalize. They do nothing, huh? Alright, well. Kinda just want to say, okay, Tempting Wurm, sure. I was gonna say, might just want to see a land here. Yeah, again, the window to play a worm is probably not getting much better than right now, so let's just YOLO it out, see what happens. We could have considered firing off a Funeral Charm first. I'm not sure that would have been correct. But maybe they would, like, pitch Permission and value the bolt. I don't know how likely that is, though. The worm will resolve. And now we will not attack with the rat, because we don't have Naturalize handy. They could have Prophetic Bolt rolled up or something like that, which would have been a reason to Funeral Charm. Now they've got the 5th land, so that's a little less exciting, but still. Something to think about. I don't think we're using the Funeral Charm, though, quite yet. Alright, Diabolic Edict. We're gonna probably have to use it sooner than later. We're just getting so clunked up here. But the worm is a massive problem for them. Alright, they go for the factory. We go for a naturalize. That resolves. Worm's going to hit for 5, and then I think I'm going to charm on their draw step. When they'll have 3 cards in hand. Okay, Lightning Bolt. So they might have another... That leads me to believe they have another red card in hand, so why don't we charm right now instead? Yes, we got the Prophetic Bolt. Okay, called the shot. We should be in pole position from here, obviously. They could have a lot of different things. If they're playing, like, Dominate or Repulse Exclude, those cards are terrifying, right? But yeah, we're just sending it with the worm. I think I'm then going to just morph out. Or no, we'll just hardcast. Yeah, we'll just hardcast. Bane of the Living, and now they're dead on board. A couple different ways with Treetop involved. Prohibit. Okay. It's a clean enough trade. But they have land for turn, so they are dead to the Treetop Village attack. Good job, Ravenous Rats. Good job, Tempting Wurm. 1-0 going into siding against what appears to be a pretty stock counterburn deck, so Hidden Gibbons is a must-have. Funeral Charm 3 seems good. Don't know if we want too much else. Maybe Gaia's Blessing. Probably not the Crypt. What don't we like? I think Graveborn Muse is a little vulnerable here to all their effects, and actually Bane of the Living's not great either, I don't think. So those are two pretty easy cuts. We could also cut Rotting Giant. I don't think that's probably necessary here. I think we will leave in the one of Sylvan Library. Even though they're a burn-ish deck, I think that's still probably okay. I think I'm going to cut just a tiny little bit of discard with one Cabal Therapy. Cut a tiny little bit of removal of one Smother. Maybe it should just be both Smother, actually. Let's just do that. We'll keep the Edict around, Naturalize as a one of. Hopefully that's good enough against their manlands. You could play that a couple different ways around the edge there, but I think generally speaking, just like keeping our 3/3s in, as long as they're kind of low curve, like Rotting Giant, or 2-for-1s like Call of the Herd is fine against the Lightning Bolt deck, but again, stuff like Bane of the Living and Graveborn Muse may be a little less exciting. Speaking of exciting, we see Tempting Wurm and Rats and Unburden, plus a 4-lander. Yeah, sure, we'll keep it. It's actually kind of a mid-hand overall, but there's just we just have a lot of good cards here, don't we? Just have a lot of good cards here. Okay, Treetop, pass to you. So the line is going to be turn 2 Rats, turn 3 Unburden, turn 4 Double Wurm, as things stand. It's quite a good progression, although it would be better on the play. Opponent's got both colors online, they have a Fairy Conclave involved, and they could have permission here. We did not get Iced Down, which again is kind of a common play pattern against mid-range. Opponent didn't do that game 1, though. So the fact that they didn't do it game 2 doesn't mean that they don't have that card, right? Yeah, the Rats will hit. Nice. Prophetic Bolt. Okay. Seems really good. Now, is this going to be an AK or an Impulse? Yeah, Impulse. Alright. Shivan Reef, pass. Over to us for the Rat attack. And then, I'm not sure if Call of the Herd or Unburden is better in this spot. You can make a good argument for either one. I think at this point, with them having double blue, permission is likely enough that I'm just going to go Call of the Herd here. Which I think is it's probably less bad to get that countered. And now that that card's involved, we're probably not going turn 4 double Tempting Wurm, although, again, I don't think that would be bad by any means, but we probably want to go turn 5 double Tempting Wurm. So yeah, Call of the Herd eats a counterspell. Would love to draw like a Duress, obviously. Next turn we can go Duress into Unburden and clear the way for the Worms, but no matter what we draw next turn, our position's looking kind of sweet. OP with no 4th land, interesting. We got another Rats, eh? Alright. Well, we can delay the Tempting Wurm even further now. If we just go land into Flashback. Well, first attack, no matter what. Let's do that. But then we're going to go land, Flashback the Elephants, and then because the opponent's clunked up, it's not like their hand's going to be empty next turn, right? So next turn we get to go Rats and do Unburden, which is incredible value. And then the Worms will come down the following turn. We also get this card out of our own graveyard in case the opponent's going to find like a Phyrexian Furnace for turn or whatever. But, so we do resolve the Elephant, but they go for a Lightning Bolt just to use a spell, so Call the Herd trades with Counterspell and Lightning Bolt. Classic play patterns on both sides of the table here. OP's going to main phase Impulse, just digging for a land. They found one. It's an island. Okay. So 4 cards in hand. It's time for a nice turn of Rats into Unburden. The Rats get countered. That is acceptable, but now please discard 2 if you don't mind. And if there is any permission left in hand, I think there's a good chance they just bin it at this point. But obviously that depends. We know they're not sitting on any lands, that's for sure. Pyrokinesis in response to kill the Ravenous Rats. And then we get Minotaur Illusionist. Whoa, this is Hornstill? This is Hornstill? I didn't even know. That's so cool. Oh, man. That is so cool. That is good to know as well if there's a Game 3. You can be sure that is good to know. All right, we draw a Funeral Charm. Sure, I'm just going to main phase that to make sure they don't put a Minotaur in. Funeral Charm you. Deal with the Minotaur, or deal with permission this way before we play double Tempting Wurm. Impulsing in response, okay. They're just looking for, like, a bolt to fire off or whatever. Makes sense. Alright, Mountain. Tempting Wurm. Into Tempting Wurm. Incredible scenes, my friends. Absolutely love, love, love this stuff. The depletion showing up at the right time, the hand attack. I've got to say, so far, that like the 3rd Funeral Charm, the Unburden, they're feeling pretty cool. They're feeling pretty sweet. We got Call of the Herd, too. Sometimes the gas just keeps on coming. Alright. Opponent's at 6 with double Tempting Wurm on field, so let's add Rotting Giant and Call of the Herd to the mix. Why don't we? Why don't we have some fun here on the final turn of the game? There's a didgeridoo, okay. The engine is online, the combos are online, but that is not anywhere near good enough. Comprehensive depletion against the Minotaur Hornstill variant of Counterburn. Really, really strong progression. Tempting Wurm, so good. Huh, kind of a funny hand. We will keep it. Triple Treetop Village. Definitely not an everyday sight in the opener. So while we will be a little bit slow out of the gates, we do have a nice hand overall on the play, right? So we begin against a mulling opponent with a Duress. Hopefully we're hitting in general. Yeah, you know, we whiff. Normally, you don't say when you're doing Duress turn 1, hopefully we're hitting. Right? It's kind of a weird thing to say in Premodern. I just kind of had a feeling, for some reason, that we might whiff. So, wow. Oh, I see. I see. Yeah, opponent with a Goblin Lackey, which I was going to say was a totally nutty draw. Then again, we hit a nice nutty draw of our own in the form of Smother, so no cheating out a turn 2 Siege Gang for you, my friend. Maybe turn 3, though, because they find another Lackey off the top. Man, oh man. Can we find another kill spell? Because that'd be incredible. We cannot, but we can Stupor. us and OP just LOLing about this very, very odd match. Yeah, I guess we are supposed to stupor. Maybe we get one of the siege gangs out of there. The other one is going to hit us, though. And we do. So it's pretty bad, but having used that stupor, we at least now have the scope to play a lot of relevant black cards that we might draw next turn, and we certainly have to hope that we're hitting runner, good action off the top. Opponent will port us. Got it. Sylvan Library, not really a come-from-behind card and won't even be playable because we have not yet managed. We've been a victim of our own decent draws, but we haven't yet managed to make usable green mana. Nor will we for the foreseeable, because opponent's got a Wasteland off the top. And does Lackey hit anything of relevance here? No. So they've got another land probably rolled up in hand, possibly a reactive card, I guess, like Naturalize or Gem Palm Incinerator. It is a bit academic because we are just kinda losing at this stage, I think, no matter what we do. I don't think Sylvan Library is as good here as playing the Treetop Village, but we should possibly just scoop either way. Goblin King! Goblin King! What a sweet one. You'll love to see it. Alright, wrecked game 1 by Goblins, couple lackeys off the top. Plus, missing with our duress. So, yeah, that'll do it. Alright, guys, so we are going to cut, I guess, all duress in both Phyrexian Furnace. They're not particularly necessary. We can bring in Vendetta, Funeral Charm, 3 Plagues, Infest, and Cursed Totem. All really good stuff. Maybe we just play without our Naturalize and go totally soft to anything they might bring in from the side. I don't know how likely it is that they have anything we particularly care about, so I think I will do that. We could play it a little safer and trim a discard effect, you know, a Stupor and Unburden, one of our Cabal therapies, what have you. But yeah, and we, for that matter, could also have left a Duress in. It's not very good, of course, but, you know, you catch a stray, Naturalize, or Hull Breach, or whatever. It's not the worst. So anyway, let's play the Rack. And if they play a Goblin Lackey, we'll have to play the Rats to block it. Unless we draw a kill spell. And we don't. So I was hoping to go Library on an empty board. Instead, we're going to go Rats, which is obviously just fine. But if they have an answer, then the Lackey is going to go ahead and beat us just like it did G1. They've got the answer. Gem Palm Incinerator it is. You know, I think our Goblins matchup is good, but it sure looks like we're getting spanked. Real quick here. Real quick 2-0 for the OP. Into a Ringleader. To be fair, only finding a couple more lackeys, so not the end of the world. Obviously, we have a million outs. That's a lot less bad than I feared. All in all. You know, I'm gonna put off the Sylvan Library for a turn. We just gotta play another rat here, I think. They pitch a lackey freely enough, but I definitely don't mind making them have another answer. Because at any point they could draw another payoff. They could even have another Ringleader already rolled up in hand. I don't think they have a Siege Gang rolled up, but now if they've got Goblin King here, we could be in chump block territory. Instead, they've got Mog Fanatic, so they can go ahead and ping, and we'll see what the follow-up payoff is. Feels like another ringleader, but you never know. They might have not played this other lackey out if that were the case. So yeah, it's a Goblin Matron. Obviously, at any point, Engineered Plague off the top is incredible. I think that states the obvious, but it is true. They go get another ringleader. And we find Tainted Wood. Not Infest or Engineered Plague, but Tainted Wood. So, catching a beat down here. What can you do? I don't think we were supposed to mull this hand, and I think we got pretty unlucky game one, so not a ton of agency. And again, I would say we have kind of an okay, whoops, I did not mean to clear out the ringleader stuff. They got Piledriver, Warchief, and Sharpshooter. Bruh. And they're serving. Put them all down, because I'm just all in on an infest anyway at this point. So we kind of want the lackeys to connect, right? And to trigger. Oh god, a Siege Gang Commander? We didn't know about that one, did we? No, that wasn't revealed. Okay, Goblins absolutely destroying us on every axis here. Come on, Infest. Tempting Worm, Rotting Giant. I see. I see. Well, you know what? Let's let OP have some fun here. Go ahead and put some more stuff in for free, why not? You already put in some stuff off the lackey, why not a few things off the Tempting Worm? I really don't see the problem. I really don't see the issue. Don't see how it makes any difference at this point. You see a Tranquil Domain, there's Goblin Goon. We're zoomed out because the board state is too wide. We're going to go ahead and queue up the GG's well played. But we'll let the opponent have the fun of swinging out. We do get to trigger the rack as well. That's important. They go from 19 to 18. That could be big. That could be big game. Goblin Goon, let's go. Do they control more creatures than us? I think maybe. It's kind of close. Alright. No blocks. See how much damage you did. 46. Attacking for 46. 2 lackey triggers on the stack. That's the game, my friends. That is the game. Looks like a solid keep. 5 lands, 2 spells. We've got most of our bases covered. And opponent's going to go Island. Basic Island pass. So do we... We probably play one of our 2 furnaces now that we've drawn a second one, rather than doing any, you know, Funeral Charm end stepping. Because who knows what we're up against, right? Okay, Diabolic Edict. Yeah, not sure. Not sure still, obviously, with them just saying Island go a couple times, but we'll definitely go for Rats here. That is the clear incentive. And if it is Dreadnought, we've got 2 kill spells in hand. The Rats will resolve. Okay. Temporal Spring. Put target permanent on top of its owner's library? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that signifies, but go ahead. Impulse. Are we against, like, a... Oh, what's that deck? What's that deck that makes the Saprolings? Is it like a Saproling opposition deck? We'll find out. Third land is really good. Alright. I'm pretty happy to just say go here. We're probably kind of time-walking them that way. We're holding up a lot of different effects. including Naturalize, which could be relevant indeed. But so far they're not doing anything, so let's just draw a card off Furnace, fire off a Funeral Charm. Moment's Peace. A flashback fog. Got it. I still really don't know what's going on. But I'm going to continue taking it a little slow. We'll try another Furnace. Here's a Treetop Village. And we'll pass holding up Naturalize or Edict. Not gonna jam the Wurm yet. If nothing else, they could be on Plow, right? Fact or fiction? Sure. Let's exile that Fog. Okay, they've got another Temporal Spring, another Fog, and then they've got Compulsion. Definitely this is some kind of control deck. I think I'm going to put Compulsion and the Krosan Verge, which is a slow, like, 2-for-1 land on their own. They might, and of course we do have Naturalize for the Compulsion. I don't care that much about these other cards. So if they take the pile of 3, I think that's fine. Alrighty. So now that we've got another Tempting Wurm, I think it might be time to go for both of them here. Counterspell, yep. Try again. Alright, OP with 5 cards in hand, so they might put a land or 2 down. They do not. Alright. We might be getting plowed. Or with just that Temporal Spring card. Which is a sorcery, so never mind. Maybe they're realizing that too. I've seen that card before, but I don't know that it's ever been cast against me. I certainly have never cast it. But they say that one splash of the spring's water knocks you clear into last week. They just floated mana and then untapped. Got it. Okay. So no Temporal Spring. I think I'm going to continue holding the Furnace rather than cracking it while we have this onboard advantage. We know they at least have that Moment's Peace that we can beat the back half of. I don't think we're attacking with Treetop this turn. I think we're going to get the scroll down and hold up some effects. Are they once again forgetting that this is a sorcery? I think, possibly. You know, I'm not hating. Believe me, you guys know when I play with newer cards. Thinking about a lot of different things, you can overlook something like this. Alright, so they go for the Moment's Peace. which I thought might be the play. That is indeed what an opponent was trying to do. They say, "Thank God, game is more smarter than me." So true. I agree. The rules save us from ourselves many a time. Ooh, Graveborn Muse off of the cantrip. So yeah, we crack. Now that they've used the Moment's Peace, we're fine to crack the Furnace, getting the back half value. And yeah, let's try a Muse. Could easily get countered, but I think now's a good time and place for her. Okay, so Muse resolved, opponent just does nothing, with 6 cards in hand. So we untap, we get to draw off Graveborn Muse. Pretty cool stuff. Alright, so we'll play a forest. If we fire up Treetop Village, we still can play Curse Scroll and hold up Naturalize. We're also holding up Diabolic Edict, which does not seem to matter. So this is the turn to really go for it. If they have a third fog effect, then so be it. They do. Okay. We are against some kind of, like, fog control strategy, it seems. But again, this turn, unlike previous turns, we're not really punished for the treetop attack, because realistically, we're not probably hitting with a 1 1/3 chance off of scroll, which is the only other thing we could have been doing. Alright, they have hit land number 6, Wrath of God. Yeah, that stinks. Okay. Just a control thing. Just control things, right? But they fogged us. They fogged us good on the way to finding a Wrath of God. Alright, Cabal Therapy, huh? That's an awkwardly timed one. I think I might just name another Wrath here. Decree of Justice, Temporal Spring, Fact or Fiction? I almost mentioned Fact or Fiction, that there's kind of no way they have that, right? I'm wrong. That must have been their draw for turn, I guess? But then they still use the Wrath, huh? Alright, well these are some real problem cards here. Alright, let's get our attack in with Treetop Village, and then we've got a flashback to take one of these. Either Decree or Fact or Fiction. I guess it's probably just Fact or Fiction. Theoretically, we can chew through like a mid-sized Decree with some repeated scroll activations is the idea. Along with Fact or Fiction, just potentially helping them find like another Decree, among other things. Alright, I guess we'll name Naturalize, because they don't... We'd rather them not know about our Diabolic Edict, I guess. If possible, but... no such luck. So they know about our whole hand. We draw Treetop Village, we'll play it, pass it back. Impulse, yeah. Obviously, we were hoping they'd just fire off the Decree there, then we could Edict one, scroll another, with a guaranteed hit and take it from there. But opponent's not really under enough pressure to mandate that, right? Mirari's Wake. Wow. Okay, well, that's a crazy card. Creatures you control get +1/+1 when you tap a land for mana. Add 1 mana of any type that land produced. And yeah, we're just gonna obviously naturalize that. And then begin the guaranteed scroll hits. Let's put a stop on our own upkeep and draw for such time as the scroll is highly relevant. And with this many lands on field, we are probably supposed to just get the guaranteed scroll hit here. Take him down to 8. Oh, and our draw for turn is Duress, which is so good. What a good draw. Holy moly. We'll get the Decree. We even get to attack still with Treetop Village. Oh, man, oh, man. What a good draw. So rewarded, I think, for the sequencing at most stages of this game. Alright, I'm once again going to take the guaranteed hit while it's offered. Put him to 3. Notably, they did not spring the Curse Scroll back to the top, and they will concede. Nice, 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 nice. Okay, so we're against a 3-color control deck, the likes of which I'm not super familiar with, but we will probably play Soul-Rending Vendetta to beat some bigger payoffs. They might side into them with that Mirari's Wake card, though they might be obviously playing for more of a Decree of Justice as their main win con, right? So you could kind of go either way, but Soul-Rend and Vendetta, I think, are better than Smother, at least. And we'll probably leave it at that. As far as removal goes, leave the Diabolic Edict in there. And some amount of Naturalize and Tranquil Domain should come in. I think I'll play without Blessing and Crypt until we see more, but I'll leave the 2 Furnaces in. Or maybe 1 Blessing, 1 Furnace, is that better? I'm not sure. Actually, you know what? I'm going to play all 3. I'm going to play all 3. Against what we've seen, I think that's pretty fair. So we do definitely need to make some cuts now. I'm going to cut Bane of the Living, couple Rotting Giants. They're just not really value positive enough. Maybe just like one extra Naturalize effect is fine, then we've got to find 2 more cuts. There are no bad cards left in the deck at all. So, we're going to play without Diabolic Edict, and we're going to play with only 2 Funeral Charm. Yeah, gotta maul the 1-lander when the 1-land's a forest. Alright, we'll keep this, and bottom... I think bottom Tempting Worm. Yeah, call me crazy, we bottom the Tempting Worm. Against the control deck that might have again sided into big bombs, we're probably not playing it really anytime soon. Alright, at the risk of having a null, I think we're supposed to try to get the rack down under permission. This is also bad in a different way because we're now putting off Hidden Gibbons until turn 3, unless we draw an untapped land off the top. Or even turn 4 if we want to go rats right now. Okay. Remove the stops. We got a duress. You love to see that one. Yep, that'll be the play. Mana leak, sure. Get the treetop down, say go. Next turn we go Gibbons into rats. It'll be great. We'll have Call of the Herd online as well, and the rack sitting there. We've also got Cabal Therapy. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I still think we go Gibbons into rats against the opponent not drawing a third land, no less. Obviously, we hope for no mana leak. It is an impulse in response, huh? Okay. Kind of surprised they didn't do that main phase just to hit a land drop, but obviously this is very good for us as things stand. We got a lot of big problems for OP here. They pitch a Moment's Peace. That's a good value pitch. Have they found another land? Because if they don't, they might just be in big trouble. They found Croson Verge. It's slow, but yeah, definitely a very good one. Speaking of very good ones, we got a Stupor. Oh man, you just love to see that one. We're main phasing it. If it gets countered, the Hidden Gibbons comes to life and we're attacking for 5. If it doesn't get countered, we get a nice 2-for-1. Amazing. The Cabal Therapy gets worse, of course, the longer we fail to use it, but next turn we'll still be totally fine to use it. Possibly naming Fact or Fiction. Alright, there's a Curse Scroll. So yeah, we're going to use the Therapy this turn. We'll attack with the rats first. I think I will name Fact or Fiction here. Nice, we get it. And they also have Meddling Mage, Counterspell, Decree of Justice, okay? Flashing back. Just gonna take the Decree. Well, is that true? I don't really care so much about any of their cards, so yeah, we'll just take the Decree. And the main reason I don't care is because Counterspell's pretty bad. It's just a 1-for-1 that turns on Hidden Gibbons at this stage of proceedings. And Meddling Mage can die deterministically to scroll as things stand. Alright, they do play out the Mage. So their hand is Counterspell 1 Unknown. They are functional with lands now. They name Tempting Worm, sure, a fine name. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and take that deterministic kill. And they concede to that. Dismantled the control deck really well in Game 2. They did stumble on lands, but still, our progression was insane. Hidden Gibbons had them on notice, man. Hidden Gibbons had them on notice. But the combined pressure of the rack and our depletion, definitely very, very good. Alright, friends, if you made it this far, thank you so much for being with me today. I think the changes were a success. I think we saw a little bit of everything that we wanted to test without really getting too far afield from the core game plan. So I definitely like these changes enough to run them back. I remain a little bit unsure about the math behind the land base, but no matter how you configure this rock land base in Premodern, that will be true. That doesn't mean there's not an optimal one to be found, but while the spells are in flux, I guess it's okay that the land base is a little bit in flux as well, and or, as I mentioned in the deck tech, a little bit of a compromise land base between trying to do it one way and trying to do it another way. So yeah, we love the utility brought by a lot of these cards. We love sticking to the get 'em dead quick by mid-range standards game plan of Wurmrock, and I think we were able to, as mentioned, see most of what we were trying to test today without feeling as though we'd altered the game plan too significantly or paid too heavy a price for bringing in some alternative cards. So thank you so much, guys, for being here. And what I was driving at there is that I like these changes so much that as we did the first time out, we're going to run back the exact same 75 at least one more time before making any further changes to the changes. So let me know what you think about the list. Nevertheless, we'll take it into consideration for the future. If you want to dive more into this archetype, check out my Patreon for an ongoing article series. If you want to support this content, you can do the very same thing, signing up as a paid member or a paid member for the channel, or you can just use my Mana Trader subscription, save yourself some money that way. All of these things help. Appreciate you guys so much, and I'll see you next time when we play Wurmrock yet again.